if we're moving ahead to the rings of Akhenaten.
We are.
That is really, if you're going to make a comparison, it really has a Beast Below feel to it.
I fully agree with you on that. But let's start off like we normally do with one of these episodes. Your first sort of impressions. We'll start with Angela again.
He mentioned his granddaughter. Sorry, that was the first thing I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was very happy. Like, I liked this episode. I thought it was fun. And then that, and I was like, what?
You should have seen me when I actually watched it the first time. My exact words were, and if you have children listening, cover their ears. I went, fuck. And my mom came running in thinking something happened to me, that I was injured, because it was a blatant Susan reference, finally. They've been hinting around it for a while now, and we finally get a Susan reference. And I'll also say this before we get into it. I love the fact that this was the Doctor Who's world of the creature Cantina from Star Wars.
Yeah, I was also going to say it was like Mos Eisley.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that we got all these different aliens, stuff like that. I hope we get to see some of these aliens again. But let's move on to Drew. And what were your sort of initial impressions of this episode?
David couldn't contain himself when the mention of the granddaughter came in. I saw him starting to do this, waiting to see what my reaction was going to be, so I knew something was coming up. Well, if you watched our little teaser to this episode that came out last week, you know that my first reaction was, I don't know what I feel about this episode. I had some very strong emotions of it. And I will say for the moment now, I loved the first half of it, and I really disliked the second half of it. So we'll go into detail when we come into that.
So, what were the things that you really liked about this episode, Angela?
I liked how there were all the aliens. I thought, Mos Eisley, oh my goodness. There's going to be like, da, 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 da. I was waiting for the music to start. I really was. But I liked it. I thought the little girl looked really cool. I loved how when she's hiding, how they're filming through the pipes. I thought that was really cool. You see her walk by the pipe, like Clara and them. The granddaughter thing, which I already said, because I was like, oh my goodness. I thought it was kind of cool how Clara tried to take her to the TARDIS and it was locked. She was like, wait, I can't get in. And you got to see kind of just how good she is with children.
Well, I'm going to jump in really quick, and this is going to be a question. Was the TARDIS actually locked, or does the TARDIS actually hate Clara?
I did enjoy that comment. She's like, I don't think it likes me. I don't know. Maybe the TARDIS feels threatened by Clara.
Because one thing that both me and Drew noticed fairly quick, the TARDIS was not translating alien languages to Clara. So
Or maybe there's something more there.
Maybe there's something wrong with the TARDIS.
Maybe there's something wrong with Claire.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think that added a bit more mystery. And this also gets me more excited about seeing Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, to see how the TARDIS might be reacting to Clara being there. Especially if she is a time anomaly, that could be the reason why the TARDIS doesn't like her. But sorry, I just wanted to, since we were right on that topic, did you have anything else that you really liked about this episode?
Let me think about it. Let's let you talk.
Then I have another question for you, being with your background in music. That's a little tease there. Okay, Drew, what did you really like about this episode?
Everything up to the 24.49 mark.
What's that mark?
All right, so I thought the entire introduction up until the part where things start going south with the song. Okay, this was immersive alien culture. We don't get that very often. Most Doctor Who is the aliens come to Earth, and the Doctor, time or a space station. But this is an actual alien world. We do not have a single familiar alien. The culture is unfamiliar, and even though the Doctor kind of puts the audience at ease, knowing that we don't feel like there's going to be any danger because he admits that he's been there before. Of course, I love the mention of his granddaughter. We don't recognize any of the aliens. There's one alien that looks a little bit like the Hoyks, from Love and Monsters with a Hoth breather on, a half breather, which I thought was kind of cool. But the whole feel of the marketplace I thought was brilliant. I love the idea of an economy based off of the
cool.
psychic energy of objects was really, really neat, though it doesn't seem like it would work. It's like, you want to buy this motor scooter? This is a brand new motor scooter, has none of that energy, but if you give me a precious item, I'll give this to you. I can see how the exchange rate would be kind of cool, but I love the idea. I love the idea of playing with that. I like the, one of the things that, and you guys know this, and I've mentioned this a lot, is I really like the idea of religion in Doctor Who. Alien worlds and how religion works in that. Some of my favorite episodes involve that. And I thought the idea of the long song, the idea that there's one member chanting to the old god constantly for millennia, taking that spot and being replaced, and there are precedents in actual human religion for something along those lines. I thought that was really cool. I really love the relationship between Clara and Mary. I thought that was really sweet, and I like the fact that her problems were not some giant evil conspiracy. It's that she was a little girl and she was scared, and I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a little weird that Clara never introduced herself to her. It seems like that would be the very first thing, and it takes the Doctor 10 minutes before the show ends to introduce. Hello, I'm the Doctor, and this is Clara you've met, and so here you go. I thought that was a little weird, but other than that, I really like it. So in that world, may I continue with things I liked? One, anytime Doctor Who opens with a song by the Specials, I'm going to absolutely mess my pants. It was wonderful. I loved it, and I thought the entire intro.
Sure I love that too. Then.
What's that? The entire leaf, being the most important leaf in the world, was really cool.
I will say that was, because one of my questions I had for you guys originally, what do you think the story of the leaf was going to be? But they showed us, and oh my God, what a story!
It was so sweet. Oh my goodness! And then he gives it to her.
I know that was. I gotta.
It was so.
I forget who wrote the episode. Hat goes off.
There's Neil Cross, who does Luther.
Wow, that was by the guy who did Luther.
Mm-hmm. And it was directed by Farron Blackburn, who did the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe episode, which is kind of interesting. I had a problem with the leaf. One, when you asked what was going to happen with the leaf, we say this from this one. If you saw, and I know you saw, the posters for the Rings of Akhenaten, it shows her holding up the leaf.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the problem. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this.
Say it.
It's something I dislike about it, but we're on the top of the leaf. It's not the same leaf that was in the first one. It's a different.
That one was all going, got bent up and everything.
The leaf that he licks, which I thought was cool, very, very tan, is a small maple leaf about this big. This one was one big enough to cover a person's face, and was a different leaf. So, is it a different leaf? Is it a mystery? Is it just them going, oh wow, this is not going to work with that tiny little leaf? So,
I think it's the second. I don't think it's going to work with this tiny leaf because if you remember with the very first episode of the 11th Hour, they get the date of Rory's badge wrong.
Yeah, these things are going to happen. But yeah, I thought that was really sweet. So yeah. I was watching this thinking to myself that this was going to surpass Dinosaurs on the Spaceship as my favorite episode of season 7, and it will not. Up until the 24:49 mark, it was really quite brilliant.
Just as a teaser, what happens at the 24:49 mark?
That's when the old god wakes up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll get there in a second. Yeah. Because we're starting to talk about things we did not like about this episode.
Sure.
Anything about this episode you did not like?
I didn't like
Actually,
how they...
hold that 1 second. I want to get back to I did have a question for you. Being with your music background, I mean, you have a degree in music and stuff like that. What did you think of the song?
I thought it was new. I mean, it was a lot of it was just the same stuff over and over and over.
Do you know what they were saying in that? Because I was kind of curious.
Akhenaten, old god.
Go to sleep,
Don't wake up, stuff like that. It was all in English. It was just so drawn out. Some of it was hard to be able to tell what they were saying.
A lot of that was sound mixing too.
Well, the sound wasn't too bad. I don't know if you guys just saw it on a weird sound system or what.
And that is true.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like when I was watching it there was a lot of sound problems.
I didn't notice that many sound problems.
Yeah, it might have just been where the system you were watching it on there.
That's true.
Because when you were talking about it the first time, I was thinking, like, for Bells of St. John, I was like, I didn't really hear that many sound issues.
Don't worry. Once we can watch, stuff at my place, you can hear it on my system, and I don't think you're going to run into the issues. Now, one question I did have about the song, and I've noticed this online. I stay away from stuff online until after the episodes air, and I look at some of the discussions going on. Were they saying Clara's name in the song at all? Because some people think they either heard Clara's name in the song or they heard those creepy steampunk Anakin Vader.
Those guys were saying, because her name was Mary. They were saying
okay. Because somebody
those things had creepy voices. That was really cool. Like, I really liked how when they showed up, because I didn't expect them to have like super creepy whispery voices, and I'm like, oh crap, man, whoa.
Yeah.
So I liked their creepy voices.
The vigil was pretty neat.
So let's okay. So you answered some of the music stuff there that I had for you. So what didn't you like about this episode?
I didn't like how the grandfather was a big ball of stuff, because they showed like they have this really cool looking like monster guy and he's in a glass container, and then after he like escapes they show a couple more like sitting down like asleep or something, and they don't really explain that.
That was the mummy breaks out of the glass case.
And then they show a couple more though, like
no, he sends his energy signature to grandfather, who's the big son, and then dies. So
I saw like 4 of them or something though that looked like like maybe I was just delirious because I was sleepy when I was watching it. But
I've watched it far too many times.
I've only seen it once because
I think that's probably what. Yeah,
the copy that I was originally given, I got a text message saying, "Don't watch it. It stops. There's parts of it cut out, like right at the end. So don't watch it because then you'll be screaming." So I waited to watch it on my TV in demand, and that was the only thing that really confused me, because right when the thing senses Ernie dies, it looked like there were like 3 or 4 more like just kind of laying on the ground of like the monster looking thing.
I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at that.
Maybe I just need to rewatch it because I've only seen it once.
The only thing that confused you?
A lot of it confused me, like how just she's singing and it doesn't sound like she messed up at all, but magically.
I agree. I can't figure what the mess up was, because everything seemed like it was going perfectly.
She didn't mess up.
Yeah.
What?
She didn't mess up.
Okay.
She didn't mess up. It was just the old god's time to wake up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean.
And then I don't know. There were a couple things, like especially right when you got in there, just like because that dude was just sitting there singing and everything's like going crazy around him, and then the doctor just is like, dude. You figure they'd be like, things aren't going the way they've been going. What the crap's happening? If they've been sitting there singing for that long.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's interesting looking at Drew. Drew seems like he just wants to.
Okay, talk. Say it.
Just say some stuff.
No, I mean, okay, so.
But there's one thing I want you to hold off on, because I want to do the question-wise. The thing that we discussed that night at Geeksboro. So if you've watched our teaser of this, just hold off on that one little bit.
No, I'm just going to tell you the things I didn't like about the episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
rolls out a scroll.
Yeah.
Things I liked, things I disliked. All right, so everything after the 24-minute and 49-second marker. This is. I'm okay with the mess up, with her being sucked over to the other side, with them almost getting her, even though the special effects were a little meh. It's Doctor Who, I can forgive that. It's the moment that Mary zaps Clara, uses her weird powers.
That was weird.
That came out of nowhere.
I do agree with that.
Zaps her and then tells her she has to leave, even though she's pinning her to a wall. At that moment, I realized that it feels like there was a lot more to the script, and they cut chunks of it out. So,
question: do you think they possibly filmed it, and we might get it on the DVD as deleted scenes?
No.
Oh, you read a lot more about the stuff after the episode. I wasn't sure if you've heard anything.
Yeah, we already have a DVD release date.
Oh, we do. Yeah, May 28th. Okay, so what really irked me about this is I got in there going, oh, this is really exciting. They're doing something about religion. They never do something about religion in Doctor Who. They haven't in a while. And I realized it was a very pro-science, anti-religion story. Like, this is very much very much against religion. And even the Doctor seems like he's speaking out against religion. And I'm not pro-religion or anything. But just so there's a couple of quotes that he says.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because...
All right. Yeah, I have 5 pages of notes on this one. I wasn't going to... Yes.
This one.
Well, it's like their son, and all 7 kingdoms believe that all life came from the universe from him. Did it? Well, that's what they believe. It's a nice story. Okay? It's like, we all have our creation myths. He's a god. Well, he is to them anyway. And it's sure, we've seen a number of stories in which the god turns out to just be another alien with higher technology. And that's not a problem. It's a trope in Doctor Who. But when he sits down and he explains to Mary that everything that they've believed for the last million years, their entire religion, is a lie because he explains the Big Bang Theory to her, that was... The Doctor says that Big Bang is correct. The Doctor says your creationist story is incorrect. That really rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't feel that had a place in Doctor Who. I mean, he is very much a pro-science guy. I mean, it's with the exception of, I think, the Demons, he's science all the way. And in the Demons, it's like, well, it's magic, we'll never know. Who knows? But to explain that to a child, to openly, his whole experience in that temple was, hey, your song's over. These are bad guys. Just ignore it. It's not going to be a problem. Oh, I was wrong. Your religion was doing it. And I like the religion. I really like the idea of the sonics. Everything was based off of sonics. Harmony was very powerful. We'll talk about maybe certain sonic elements were too powerful in this episode. Okay, so there's that. Let's just say that I felt it was pro-science, anti-religion, but the science was terrible. And please allow me to go into that just before you interrupt me.
Well, no, I want to talk really quick about the religion.
Okay.
Because I did not see it that way, and I saw that at the end, the Doctor even admits he was wrong about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because maybe I didn't read that much into it. I just and I felt like, the Doctor was like, oh wow, that wasn't grandfather. I was wrong. And I think he pretty much does, sort of state that, that thing in the sun was a god and not just an alien.
No, he
said it was a parasite.
He said it was a parasite and a vampire.
Well, no, he said
the thing was a vampire. The orb was a parasite.
Parasite god, yeah, because he can set parasite gods ablaze. Anything. You ask her questions about music because her degree's in music. My degree is in religion. No. So what I'm saying is this is the gaze I'm using. This is how I took away from it. And,
I think that's great.
I
think that's great because I didn't see that. And I think that because of being a writer, doing the audio podcast, doing everything I've done writing wise, and this is a stance I've always taken in all my classes is like once you write something, once you put it out there, no matter what you intended for it to mean is, it turns into whatever that person that views it, reads it, or whatever takes from it.
Sure.
Where they extrapolate. Because I wrote this one piece, and all of a sudden, people were pulling religious meanings out of it when I never put it in there. Once it's out there, once it's for people to experience, to talk about, to review, it's really in their hands. You never know what's going to come out of it. Kind of like, this is going to be weird, I'm bringing up the X-Men here. All this controversy came out with this past issue of Akhenaten, or the Uncanny Avengers, Uncanny X-Men, I can't remember what it's called, the one with Havoc, because he uses the mutant word in a bad way, and people are like, wow, you're being all racist and stuff in the book, and the guy never even thought of it like that. It's interesting that, you see it, you saw this more religion in it than I did, but now that you're saying that, I'm thinking back, hey, that was there, and I find that absolutely interesting, and I think that's a very valid and unique viewpoint on the episode, and I just never saw it like that, and I think I can't wait to watch it again and try to view it, with that sort of viewing in mind. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome that you opened this door that I never saw. So thank you.
Don't thank me yet. That's just item one.
Yeah, I know.
So item two.
I'm just saying.
All right, so there's really bad science in this, and I know that Doctor Who is not known for its good science, but there's certain things. One, you've got this giant sun, but they never talk about temperature. Like, how are these people on asteroids? Where's their atmosphere, the reasonable atmosphere, when they travel back and forth? Why aren't they freezing to death when they go out into space, traveling around? And I know. Why aren't they burning to a crisp when the sun is there? Why, when Clara looks into the giant sun and we get a close up of her eyes, her pupils are going, whoop. Sorry, if you're looking into a bright light, they're going to do the opposite. And again, I study religion, I teach science. So I look at these. The biggest problem with this entire episode comes at the very end, and I'll explain that later. More complaints. The sets. The sets in the temple, obviously the marketplaces where their budget went, the costumes are amazing. The sets in the temple are really bad. The CSO or blue screen or whatever it's obviously a tiny little set. They did a really good job for the most part in taking the same set and doing it from different angles. It makes it feel like a bigger space. This did not. I had a real problem with the sets and going, that looks really cheesy. I can tell that's styrofoam. I can see that. So I felt that there was a little bit of filming with that one. The secret song! Oh no! The Doctor uses his powerful screwdriver to keep this heavy, heavy, heavy door open. But wait, I seem to recall there being a secret song. Sing it, Mary. She got 3 notes. I've watched this 4 times. 3 notes, the thing starts to lift. So if I was just casually walking through this temple in space and whistled, we tried to talk about the leaf size. All right, let's talk about the sonic screwdriver.
Okay, yeah.
I seriously thought, because they were talking about the newer sonic screwdriver, like they have the toy. I seriously thought that he was gonna not have it and then show up with this new one.
Okay, let me. Okay, one of the questions I was going to ask you is it time for the screwdriver to go away? Because it is probably it's suffering from what
Deus
happened
Ex Machina
from the 3rd Doctor, the 4th Doctor, and we lose it with the 5th. I mean, is it time for me to lose the screwdriver? Because it just, I mean, all it is, it's Harry Potter's wand. I mean, that's the only thing I think of when he was going up against the Vigil. The Vigil. I'm like, it looks like he's wielding Harry Potter's wand. Or a wand. I mean, before we go into more of the problems with it, do you think it's time for the screwdriver to go?
I wouldn't have a problem with it being gone. But it's not going to, because they sell far too many replicas of them. I wanted to see I thought you were right.
The new screwdriver. I thought we were going to get it at the end of the episode.
What new screwdriver?
The new toy when they have it.
Okay, the temporal screwdriver? Okay, that was all that is an add-on to the make your own sonic screwdriver set. That's
I
not.
I thought we were going to see a nifty new looking screwdriver to go along with this nifty new looking TARDIS.
That is not the new
screwdriver. You have to accessorize. You got a new outfit, you got a new TARDIS, hey! Or a new interior of a TARDIS, hey, why not?
Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
I think that I never want to see the screwdriver used like that again. That was ridiculous. Yeah. Because there's a lot of, and again, exposition of the story. Chekhov's gun. It's the Doctor's screwdriver. He pulls out the screwdriver and goes, I can't give him this. It might come in useful. Useful, my ass! That was like, he could take out whole solar systems with just that screwdriver. And he even makes a joke. Stand back, I have a screwdriver. Well, apparently that's all you need. Now, to justify this, I was thinking, well, this is an entire religion and culture based off of harmonics and sound. So maybe a sonic screwdriver is that powerful against 3 guys who can throw people against walls just using their voices, which that was pretty cool. A little Mortal Kombat, but it was pretty cool. If there's just a little bit of, well, the harmonics in this tempo will boost the signal, ooh, that would have been cool. However, he does say there was a million, billion, squigillion combinations. Well, got it. So the sonic screwdriver was a little too powerful in this episode.
I don't know if it wasn't maybe foreshadowing the destruction. I mean, because it seemed like he almost had to give it away. It almost got crushed.
In that great Indiana Jones moment, though, that was kind of fun.
Are we foreshadowing the destruction of the screwdriver and the introduction of a new screwdriver coming up?
We discussed. Well, I shouted at you, I guess, after this one. I thought that we will probably see the Doctor tell River his name at the end of the season.
Yeah.
We won't hear the name. I'm going ahead on a limb here and say we're not actually going to find out the name. I think that would be very poor choice on Moffat's part, because even though everyone else can forget the Doctor, we're not going to forget the name as an audience. However, River has the 10th Doctor's screwdriver, a version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's plausible with the 50th anniversary with 10 coming back, maybe the screwdriver gets destroyed, they have to use 10, they have to tweak it, that's how it's given to River. I don't know. There's a lot of theory in the air. I wouldn't mind seeing the Doctor without a screwdriver for a couple of episodes. Yeah. I think that would be a refreshing change of pace. However, we know it's not going to happen in the next episode because we've already seen him use it.
Yeah. What else did you like about this episode?
Okay. The speech at the end, I really disliked originally.
Which one?
There's 2 of them.
Yeah.
One, the creation speech. 2, the take my... I have walked away from the great time war, being the only one left standing. I have been through dimensions of time where physics were written by madman. I thought that was really good. It was powerful, but it felt a little bit like the 3rd Doctor gurning. There's a lot of... I was not moved by it the same way I was moved in the easy comparison by the same speech in Pandorica Opens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really sure what the sun god, how taking his memories. I thought for a moment, oh my god, they're going to take his memories. He's going to lose his memory, and he's going to want to know who he is. Yeah. Doctor Who. What a great, and while they're starting it early, I thought this was a great way of doing this, and I was getting great for it.
I really thought the same thing. I thought, we're going to get a memory wipe Doctor.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been a really cool thing to do.
I mean, but that's McGonn's shtick. He's always the one with the dodgy memory. But but it didn't, and so it's like, okay, all of the Doctor's memories couldn't fill him up, but a leaf could. And I get it, it's blink energy, it's the energy of things that could have happened.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We got to see that beautiful ceremony where everyone held out something that was precious to them, and it disappeared to help put the god to sleep. Yeah. Or wake it up in the case of this situation. I thought that was really cool. But the Doctor's memories didn't destroy the Doctor. There was no physical form, but the leaf got destroyed.
Yeah.
Right? So that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I mean, and I would have been willing to forgive that if it wasn't on top of everything, all my other complaints in this episode. So, but here's one of these things where it's just, I'm sorry, this is too obvious. Their sun that keeps all 7 of their planets alive is a bad guy, all right? And they keep it dormant using song. I love that. So what does the Doctor do? He kills the sun. The sun dies, it goes away, and the next second, they disappear and reappear. There's no conclusion. We do not know what happens to everybody. I'm going to make an assumption here. If your sun dies, you're screwed. Your whole culture is going to die, everyone in that whole galaxy. That they just dropped that. No explanation. That was bad storytelling.
Or, the thing I wondered was, does their solar system even still exist? Because look at all the asteroids. Could there have been something that destroyed most of everything? Because if you look, it's a small little asteroid that they're on. Could there have been a war and they just gather here in that one marketplace?
If that was the case, they should have mentioned it. And again, bad storytelling and bad exposition.
I agree, but it's just something I wondered the same thing, but I kind of chalked it up to maybe there was something that happened, like some sort of travesty, something, because there was all the asteroid, and there were asteroids, and the temple was on a small one.
They're the rings. It's the rings of Akhenaten.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what that's what Saturn's rings are.
Yeah.
That's what So yeah, science aside, you don't destroy the sun and less than 10 seconds later be back on Earth without any kind of exposition. So yeah, that was the icing. That was the icing on the cake. Oh, by the way, if you looked at the poster ahead of time, you knew that she was going to be able to hold up the leaf, and that spoiled it.
And I'm staying away from all those posters because of things like that.
I am now. It just feels like I'm complaining about this episode so much. Where did the book come from? She was carrying around the 101 places to see.
Yeah, I know. And then she magically has it.
In her purse,
her
bag was huge. She has a big, bag.
Mary Poppins bag.
Mary Poppins bag.
And that's honestly where I assumed she had it, because it was almost like a messenger bag. It's the size of her purse.
And I figured as much, but it was one of those, again.
You don't see her take it out of her bag, you just see her holding it in her arms.
Yeah, so I apologize if this was, I told Davey I needed 5 minutes to rant.
And then he told me he didn't.
And I didn't. It wasn't a rant. I have a list of things I disliked. You asked me which I disliked, and you asked me what I liked. So I had some complaints with this one. So
I'm going to go over a few things, things I liked, some things I didn't like, and some questions I have for you guys. First thing is, I love the creepy steampunk Darth Vader looking, gentleman looking things. So cool. I loved them. I thought they're great visual image. I liked the sound of them. I liked their sonic power. I liked everything about them. I thought they were great, and it's going to be a shame if we don't get to see them again, which I don't think we're going to see them again.
We'll see them again. They'll make action figures out of them.
Well, yeah.
They were in at least a minute of the episode.
I thought it was interesting that he has this new philosophy. We don't walk away. Because he's walked away quite a bit from situations. And this is the first time I feel like it's a new philosophy for him, where he actually states we don't walk away now.
No, I think this echoes the Beast Below when he explains that a child in trouble, he doesn't walk away from children. And yeah, maybe.
And I do think the sonic needs to go. It's way too powerful. Because you brought up the Beast Below, if we look at the Thumbflower and the Beast Below, and the bells and the rings, I gotta say I do like this better than the Beast Below. I've never cared for the Beast Below. I always thought that was the weakest episode of that season, and I really like this as a sort of second new companion episode. That's just me.
Yeah.
I did like one little speech he gave that he gave. Hold on to something precious. We run and keep on running until we're out from under the shadow. Because we had the Susan comment. I mean, is this more of a hint about why they ran?
It's entirely possible.
And I'm kind of curious if Moffat's not going to go back to this. Did you hear about the scripts that were uncovered? The original plan for who Susan was and things like that?
Oh, yeah.
Makes me wonder. I mean, I still think at this point, they are related. I mean, I don't think you could get out from underneath that shadow. But I mean, I wonder if, something was going to happen to Susan and that maybe even Susan doesn't know about, but he decided to take her and run. That's just me starting to sort of try to figure out what Moffat might be thinking story-wise.
I'm not even going to try to predict what Moffat's thinking anymore. I'm done.
Because I'll also say this episode felt very much like the prologue to the 50th anniversary. This is me personally. I really feel like it was a prologue in a sense. And of course, I talked about the translation matrix of the TARDIS not working, but then could it be because the TARDIS doesn't like Claire for some odd reason, and she refuses to work for her, because she couldn't get in there. And like I said, I can't wait to see Journey to the Center of the TARDIS to see repercussions of maybe Claire being in the TARDIS, if any. This could just be just for this episode where they do something or they make mention of this. I was going to ask you guys what do you think of Clara, but I mean we pretty much covered that earlier on. But this is something I kind of talked to Drew about at the teaser after we filmed it. Do you think the mystery isn't actually Clara, but Clara's mother? Because like I had mentioned to Drew, maybe the fact that the same person is being reborn isn't because of Clara, but of Clara's mother maybe being a possible Time Lord. Because we don't know what the repercussions of a human and a Time Lord mating are.
What's the Doctor? Remember, he's half human on his mother's side. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm wondering if because this is Moffat, you know how he likes to tease us and lie to us and misdirect us. I mean, could the real mystery be the mother and not Clara herself?
It could be, but we don't know yet.
What do you think, Drew?
I was terrified of getting lost. She got lost in Blackpool Beach, which is actually where Jenna Louise Coleman was born and raised. The jungle, the desert, the moon, I will always be here, is what she says. I will not always be there. I will always be here. I will always come and find you every single time, is her lines.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know. Here's the thing. Because of, this is the Moffat's jacket effect, you know. Think about the amount of predictions we made in season, the 7A.
Yeah.
That came to nothing. I don't have the energy for it anymore. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to tell you what I liked and disliked about the episode. I will respond with my own opinion for it, but I just can't go about predicting anymore. It's just, I feel like I analyze the show to the point where I don't enjoy it as much. So I'm going to hold off on that.
Okay. And the final question, and I think this is a very relevant question, is it time for Moffat to leave? And let somebody else take over?
If Moffat doesn't have any more stories in him after this season, then sure.
Well, I mean, there's that quote that he gave about, you know, the 50th and everything, about just how it just takes so much out of him.
Yeah.
And that, you know, he kind of does feel drained. I mean, do we want half-ass Moffat? Or do we want a new writer that might love the show as much as Moffat or Davies, that will put their all into it again?
You know what? Ask me again at the end of this season. Seriously, I think I think Moffat likes the show and respects the show enough that if he realizes that he's at the end of his tether, that he'll leave. The BBC America will ask him to stay on and Smith to stay on as long as they can, just because of the ratings they're getting. A change could drop, and it's the #1 show in the world right now, pretty much, and growing. The figures are growing.
Yeah.
There was a million viewer drop between Bells and Akhenaten, between Bells and Rings. Yeah, I mean, look, this show is about the actor changing. This show is about I wouldn't have any problem with Moffat leaving. No, I love Moffat, and I'll tell you something. I would almost prefer Moffat leave as showrunner, have somebody else, Mark Gatiss, come on, take over, and have Moffat, when he feels inspired, write single episode, so it can be that best, back to RTD era, be the best episode in the story. That I would go with. I would be fine with that. No complaints at all.
What about you? Do you think it's time
I kind of agree with that. I think that if he does leave as showrunner, that he'll still write stories in it, because.
But do you think it's time for him to go?
I don't know. I mean, if he still has good stories in him, I think he should stay.
Okay.
So.
Don't trust me. We'll revisit this question.
Oh, yes.
Again, especially at the end of this season. At the end of the 50th, and we'll see what happens after there. One thing you did mention earlier was about the box set. Only part of the box set has been announced. Oh, the 7B half. They have not made an announcement for the Series 7 box set, which makes me think that they're going to wait until the 50th anniversary and package that with the 7 box set.
Yeah, you're getting right into the semantics of business. Here's the thing: we also had the announcement that the first 4 Doctor episodes that the BBC has been doing.
Which I covered in our news segment, which was nice to see because I haven't seen those and I'd like to see those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went through a lot because they listed a bunch of new stuff for pre-order. Oh, because we get the Ace Warriors, we get Terror of the Zygons, all these others.
They might not be announcing anything because they may be afraid that there will be potential.
Well, like I said,
potential spoilers.
Well, no, they're announcing the 7. What I'm saying, they're announcing the 7B box set, but they're not announcing.
But
if
they start announcing like the special features and stuff in them too, though, some people may be like.
See, that's the reason why I think the 7B or the 7 box set is going to include the 50th, because that way the Series 8 will include that Christmas special on. If I'm looking at what they've done in the past with like the specials and all the other seasons, I think that's the reason we haven't seen the Series 7 box set offered yet. But that's just me. But let's wrap this thing up. I'll say this: I am very much looking forward to this week's episode of Doctor Who because we get the return of the Ice Warriors. I'm very, very excited about this.
They didn't really show them in the preview at all.
I like that.
Those are very classic.
That was very, very interesting.
Yeah. So I'm curious about see what we're gonna get. I love just from the teaser. I love the atmosphere. I love the they're in cramped quarters. They don't have many places to run because that's a classic Who thing to do is to run. You can't run in a sub. You only have so much space.
Very excellent point. Yeah.
So I'm really, really looking forward, and I'm curious if there are going to be any repercussions from this episode, because we know we're going to be in a sub. We know we have nuclear weapons, radiation exposure. There's a lot that could go wrong, and it does sound like, at least in the teaser, the Doctor and Clara do get separated and things like that. So I'm very excited about this next episode. And if you guys have anything else to say.
I am also looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah. This is GPR signing out. Peace.